new, all written for you.
All right.
This one's called Red Ball, Houston, 1989. Gunfire awakes the sleepy afternoon. Other people hit the ground when shots ring out. Not me. I hardly flinch. I trust lead to find its way. Anyway, most drive-by gunmen don't shoot straight. Diving for safety might be diving into your own grave. Moments later, a red ball bounces past me into traffic. Tires screech, anticipating a darting child who forgets to look both ways. But this time there are no outstretched hands, no feet trying to keep up, no apologetic smile or embarrassment the moment he remembers Mama's words, look both ways. The ball lays dead in the street. The first wail blackens the 100-degree Houston afternoon, a wail that says the ball has lost its playmate. A wail that will wake me in the night for decades. A wail that says life has changed forever. I step into the street, remove the ball meant for smaller hands. Behind me, angry voices blur into one another, the sound of cocking and loading, feet racing, doors opening and slamming, rubber being spent towards retribution. The mother's wail transforms into full-body sobs, then into a quiet whimper and endless tears. And one repeated word, why? The traffic has begun to move, the driver shifting into gear, shaken by not seeing the expected, and I hold the red ball. Whispers and stares. It's easy to label me white. I look like a fat old white man whose hairline has seen longer days. But I turned my back on Anglo-Saxon culture before most of you were born. I still hear echoes of scathing whispers, remember disapproving stares, venom-filled eyes. It was a confusing time for a kid in the early 1970s. It took me years to understand their hate of him, my mother's black boyfriend, their disgust with her, the questions in their eyes as they looked at me wondering if I could be his, if I was the offspring of their union. Is he? It took me years to realize the weight of their fear, that I could be their worst nightmare, taking flesh and form. If I was his, then I could pass. I could mix with their unmixed. I could soil their blue-eyed, blonde-haired daughters. It might be strange to fathom this now in 2015, but back then, outside of the Seattle city limits, you could count all the families without Western European lineage. It was a short list. Today, some call me a builder of communities, which might be true. But they are communities that I can never inhabit. I'm filled with too much emptiness. From birth, I was never attached to this life. At 4, I held my dead baby brother in my arms. At 5, I excommunicated myself from church that only held self-serving answers. Watching the endless bodies arrive from Nam told me this world was brutal. Time was short. The stares and whispers pushed me deeper into isolation, disenfranchised before I turned 8. I learned to breathe in slowly, purchasing time to question motivations, to look at people with measuring eyes, calculating, weighing, assessing, cautious of intent.
Hi, Duane.
Hey.
Hey.
Okay, this is called Slaughter. And this one all came together last week. So it's really new shit.
New shit!
Matthew Brower described the world as a dance hall and a slaughterhouse. Tara Hardy on the Everett Poetry Night stage linked the success of Henry Ford's assembly lines to the efficiency of Detroit's slaughterhouses. Their words reminded me of my grandfather. Our trips to the Stanwood slaughterhouse. Here I would lead past the prime milk cows from trailer to chute. Cows sensing wrongness, but continued forward, wrapped in trust. The sounds have remained with me. Their forlorn mooing, the puff of air that silenced bullets, the crack of knee bones collapsing and shattering on concrete, the thump of their limp bodies, the metallic rattle of the pulley, the strain of chain and hook under hefty weight. Alive in nothing. In those moments, I thought of Lincoln, Kennedy, and King. I thought of the Vietnam body count offered each night as if we needed a scorecard to track the daily slaughter. The world has always been a slaughterhouse. Only the Nazis matched the cool efficiency of Detroit. Since 1990, mass graves have unearthed the truth in Rwanda, Bosnia, and Darfur. Those oh my God headlines that ignite momentary outrage until the next text arrives and life continues untouched. In Guinea, Nigeria, South Somalia, Kenya, Sri Lanka, Ukraine, Yemen, they don't even bother to cover their slaughter. Blood claims the ground. Flies cover bodies in living, feasting shrouds. On our freedom-loving streets, slaughter continues in ones and twos. Shots fired, bodies slumping to concrete, blood claiming ground. In The Hague, they try, convict, and jail war criminals. In the United States, the empowered say there is no war. The courts say there is no slaughter, that the dead are misunderstandings blown out of proportion and context. That the slaughters are predominantly black, a coincidence. That the dead are unarmed, well, I think the cops were just too slow in planting weapons. Yet the authorities respond in their time-honored fallback. The suspects posed a threat. Officers feared for their lives. While discussing Michael Borello's acquittal in Cleveland with a Native American friend, whose people understand the word genocide, she added, "Our people are seldom shot down by the police. They are arrested, then mysteriously die in jail." We pondered the lack of those headlines. Slaughter is slaughter, but people keep dancing. Some dance with blinders on, as trustful as Guernsey cows walking down a chute. Some dance to embrace every moment, expecting a violent end to a short life. Some dance for their dead, tears mixing with earth, rich in blood. Blood that always claims ground. ground that has lost count of the slaughtered. Two poems left. This is called When Angels Fall and Buildings Burn. At 30, her eyes are still torn between the attention of the hims and hers that stir her breathing, forming tornadoes that twist within her lungs, each rotation tearing away another raw scab that tries to muffle the words her evangelistic father bound her with, words that have kept her chaste. She wakes each morning before sunrise, when angels are tired from watching over humanity's slumber. She imagines herself creeping up on God's winged creatures, pinching their necks, plucking their wings from their backs, laughing while witnessing their descent as burning stars that crater deep into welcoming earth. Each dust cloud, a rising orgasm she wishes was her own. Impassioned eyes beckon her to taste desire. Her father's words rob her of action. The slightest twitch of bodily response to seductive suitors brings memories of mother's strap, raised high for God's blessing, brought down hard and fast to lash the devil's thoughts from her child's mind. Lashes that rained down repeatedly as hips and breast took on early curves that contributed to even more confusion. Lacking angels or their plucked wings, she appeased her arousal each morning before false dawn filled the horizon with empty promises. Within those hours of temptation, she learned to embrace the scent of sulfur, to lick the long blueness of leaping flames arising from its wooden womb. Those who ignited her thoughts, she stalked by day, seeking their shelter. Returning, she would ignite their night, watch their homes burn, flames reaching carnal desire within her. As if she heard screams, she would collapse, fully spent, the taste of papaya upon her lips. If only she could pluck wings from angels, she knew in her heart they too would scream, like rabbits being torn apart by raccoons, like her own screams to Jesus as her mother gave her 40 lashes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as her father lashed her with his own rod when her mother was not standing vigilant within God's watchtower. But the angels watched. They always watched. And to close the evening, the last words I hear myself saying upon awakening from a dream where I and 3 friends have been beaten by men in blue uniforms. So you are tired of what I write, what I say in public? So you think you need that gun to silence me? You think you need that gun to silence me? Just shoot. Thank you.
For Duane Kirby Jensen. Oh my good God. Duane, you have 17 million chapbooks available on sale on that takeover. Are you going to actually, you need to come over here because I need to interview you.
Oh, the interview.
Well, so my first question is, how much do all of those books cost?
Okay. The one I did...
Don't be a capitalist.
Specifically for Seattle Poetry Slam?
That's one of my paintings on cover.
specifically for Seattle Poetry Slam with a painting on the cover. That's a beautiful painting, actually, by the way.
He did it!
It's 4 poems debuted right here today that y'all witnessed, and plus 1 slightly heard poem.
Yes. I wouldn't really call it a beautiful painting, I'd call it effective.
Effective, yes, you're right. We don't want this to be beautiful. No, you're right. But it's skilled in its exhibition or something. I don't know. How much is this?
That's $5.
This is $5.
Only $5.
He's practically giving it away.
Most of the other chapbooks are all 10.
Most of the chapbooks are all 10, but there's not just 4 in the rest of them. There's like 1 million.
Yeah. And I have 2 books that are collections of other poets, and my work is in there. And those are each 15.
And those are in, there's some other things that cost $15. But I'm sure only $15. Like, you can walk away today with Duane in your pocket, and you'll probably sign it for them too, right? And sign it, and then when he dies, like eBay, not that you're gonna die. You could, it's possible. But we don't want that to happen, is the other thing.
Does the police department have cameras in here watching what's going on?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Dwayne,
Yeah.
cameras.
Yeah. So my other question for you is, I'm going to put this book down, this beautiful book, this well exhibited piece of work book that it is. I'm going to ask you a few questions. I am, because I'm about to say something interesting. Name 3 poets that have influenced your work.
The first has to be Tennyson.
Okay.
Because he is the poet that got me reading poetry in the first place.
Okay.
And the way I came across him was as like a 4th grader. I was reading Louis L'Amour westerns, and his hero would carry like Blackstone or a poet like Tennyson. I'm like, well, if the hero's carrying Tennyson, I want to read him. Yeah. By the way, I still have the book I stole from the library of his collection works. And that led me to read Keats and all those, and my work was very flowery. So then the next part I really have to say is Charles Bukowski, because he told me how I can write.
Rest in peace, Chuck.
You know, so it's like, he's like, you can just get rid of all that flowery language and just say what you say, yeah. And then, there are so many other poets, but I'm going to go with...
Doesn't have to be the end.
I'm going to just say right now, probably Luis J. Rodriguez.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I love how he tells the story of where he was and is, and captures the nuances of the people. And since I tend to be more of a narrative painter and writer, he's a storyteller. Where Charles, he just goes from boom, boom, boom. Tennyson, same thing. But Rodriguez, storyteller in a poetic way.
All right. Awesome. So, Tennyson, Rodriguez, Bukowski.
You won't find them at the party.
You will not. You will not. My other question for you is your favorite sexual position.
Anyway.
Some call it the otter. There's a lot of slipping and sliding, and it's very playful.
Show us.
No.
Show me singular.
We're not showing anything, whoever suggested that. But could you tell me what that involves?
Could be not. Could be not.
Zombiever.
Okay. First off, you need lots of lotion because you need to be like.
Ah, shit.
Yeah. And basically, it's a continuation of multiple motions. Just okay, because you probably won't familiar with cats.
Edit.
So you know how cats kind of get playful and they're running around. Now put a little attention to that. So basically, the otter is using multiple sexual positions in one unified motion and duration. They're really into duration.
You ever like just regret the words that came out of your mouth, like as they came out? That was just what happened with me just then. I'm just gonna end there. I appreciate you, Duane. That was interesting. The otter. Have you ever tried the Viennese oyster?
Oh my God.
Okay, you love them.
This is
I
getting
was talking
weird.
to a friend in New York. We are going to be writing, we're thinking, a book called 1,001 Ways to Eat an Oyster. It is going to be the new Kama Sutra, I tell you. Well, you don't like your oyster being eaten?
Save fresh seafood.
I have no more words. So please